Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth podcast. I'm Mike Margulies sitting here with Mirjam. Mirjam, welcome onto the show.
Thank you.
So we just met, I guess, 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, maybe 20.
Maybe 20,
yeah.
I guess the last 10 minutes were spent trying to get the microphone working right for the podcast. But you're coming in from Germany, and I thought you had a pretty cool story yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so cool, but I can tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, actually my plan was to study yoga because I'm a yoga teacher back home, and I wanted to, first of all, escape the German winter, and secondly, improve my yoga. And I went to Koh Phangan, to this island, and I just didn't like it.
And Koh Phangan, I guess just to give people context, that's like the party island in Thailand where all the full moon parties are. And
which I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, so you just stumbled across this party atmosphere.
Exactly. I thought it's a really lonesome island, and I did my yoga, and yeah.
So you're expecting like a pretty low-key place with yoga classes going on.
Exactly.
And then you fell into Koh Phangan full swing, full moon parties.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus the yoga was very crazy, like high up in the sky and very esoteric, and yeah, we did on full moon. We didn't do a party. We did a spiral, for example, like a spiral meditation where you had to line up after star signs, and then just stand for 1 hour and like next to your whatever.
So everyone would stand next to a different astrological
exactly.
Like, sign.
Yeah. So that was how they, thought, and I'm also spiritual, but this is just
a little
too
bit too
esoteric for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I left, and that's why I'm in Chiang Mai now, and that's why I met Mike, and yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm still in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
Been here. I recorded several episodes in Chiang Mai. I guess I'm stuck here, but it's a good kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
Yeah, and now you're learning how to be a masseuse.
Exactly. Now I thought, what am I gonna do with all this time? And then I just realized that you can study Thai massage here, and it's also called passive yoga. So I thought, wow, that might be actually really interesting. Because
Massaging is called passive yoga.
Yeah, this Thai massage, because you, I don't know so much about it yet, but you also put people in yoga positions,
right?
And, stretch them and all these things. So it's also about energy lines and about energy points and all these things. So I thought, wow, that's actually maybe much cooler than practicing yoga myself to learn another thing. And
yeah,
so
I got a Thai. I didn't do one here, but in Kuala Lumpur, like a year ago, I got a Thai massage. And yeah, I remember I got contorted into all these like crazy weird positions, and they were just stretching me out and doing all kinds of weird things to me.
Okay.
And I could see that being kind of like a yoga. It's passive yoga because I'm not having to put myself in the positions.
Exactly.
They're just doing it for me, and I'm just kind of.
But how was it? How was the effect for you?
It
Did
great.
you feel
it was
good
like
afterwards?
It's super hard, They like.
Okay.
I guess you're learning how to do this, right? Digging your elbows.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're digging your elbow into people and all this stuff. Yeah, it was really a hard massage, but it was good. No, I liked it.
Okay.
I kind of like rough massages, I guess. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I didn't get one yet. I don't even know how it is and what it is. I get one tomorrow morning. So
all right.
I'll find out if that's the thing I want to do. But I hope so.
So you've been learning how to give massages without getting one. That sounds like a terrible deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting the short end of the stick here.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were in Koh Phangan for like a week and a half or so?
A week, something like this, a little bit more.
And then said, screw this, it's too much.
Yeah, it was too much for me.
Actually, it's a half moon today, right?
Today might be the half moon party, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna go down to Koh Phangan for the half moon party.
Okay.
I figured it'll be a taste of it. It won't be the full power, full moon. But then I just decided, no, I'd rather just hang out in Chiang Mai for a while.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up in Koh Phangan at some point and do the obligatory whatever phase of the moon we're in party.
Yeah, you should just see it maybe once. It's also, we've been to a waterfall party. It's really beautiful.
It's a waterfall party?
Yeah.
What?
And the locations are amazing. It's just a waterfall in the middle of the island. And you party there. You had a DJ from Germany, from Berlin.
Yeah.
And the music was great, the location was great, but people were just so full of drugs. And that's, I don't know. maybe I'm over it from age, so it was just,
There's phases, I guess. Sometimes there's a time to party hard, and sometimes there's a time to relax and chill.
Exactly.
It's the only constant in life is change.
That's true. That's very Buddhistic, actually.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it is kind of Buddhistic.
Yeah, very. That's the basic thing.
Yeah.
So that's there I come to the point what I want to tell you, what I also want to do after I took the course in Thai massage. I want to do a Vipassana meditation. I don't know if it's called
Vipassana.
Thanks,
yeah.
But I'm really scared of it because
I did one
so
actually.
Hard. Okay. So how many days?
The 10-day course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could tell you all about the Vipassana.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Sure. Why not? So are you doing it with the Dhamma organization?
With the International Buddhist blah blah.
Okay.
Here.
So I think there's different organizations that maybe do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the one I did it with, 10 days, no talking to other people, and no even eye contact or nonverbal communication.
Wow, okay.
You're supposed to be completely in your own world.
Can you write, like diary?
No, you're not. You're supposed to not be reading, not be writing, none of this stuff. You can talk to the teachers, actually.
Okay.
But that's the only person that you're supposed to talk to is the teacher, or one of the teachers, or the staff. And now, I can take you through it. This will be, so basically, day one, I was all about it,
what does it mean, all about it?
I'm using like these English idioms and stuff. I was just really into it. I thought the idea was cool.
Okay.
I came into it with this thought in my head of what the course would be, which was, okay, I'm not talking to anyone else. I'm kind of in my own world. I'm learning some meditation techniques to help guide me through this process. But at the end of the day, it's kind of an individual journey, and that's how I kind of looked at it. And in the first few days, that's what it seemed like it was. And the teacher on the videos was speaking, and he said, he was saying things like, "Oh, this isn't a religion," and he's saying, "Oh, religions do these madness things. They talk about these promises of heaven if you follow this exact rite and this exact ritual, and they make these threats of hell if you don't follow this thing, and that's just madness. It's about you can't follow with blind faith. You have to have an intellectual understanding, an experiential understanding." And I'm hearing him say these things, and I'm like, yeah. This is exactly why I'm here. All right, awesome.
Sounds good.
And we learned some meditation, some breathing techniques, and I was all about it. I'll use that phrase again.
Yeah, but now I understand.
Yeah. But okay, so here's where before I get into the negative side, I'll say I'd experienced like a whole bunch of pretty amazing breakthroughs.
Okay.
Personally, like, and there's too many to count, but just as an example of from a high level view, what it was. I went into the thing thinking like, okay, I'm going to think about all the people that have harmed me in the past and this, that, and the other thing and figure out how to cope with it. But instead it was the opposite. I was thinking about, well, who have I harmed? And what do I need to do to make amends for that? And it's something I'm still working on, actually. I think I've started making steps, having some conversations, repairing some relationships, but it's a work in progress.
Okay.
But that's an example of the kind of places my mind went in this time. So I learned a tremendous amount.
Wow, great.
But here's the but. I started to come off the train a few days into it when the teachings, instead of being about an individual experience, it became more and more like a religion, basically. And so now he was talking about on day one, like I said, he's like, oh, it's not about a specific rite or ritual. And now at day 5, 6, he's saying, well, this meditation method is the only one that works.
Really?
And on day 1, he's talking about how crazy it is. Religions promise you heaven. And now he's saying, well, if you do this, you're going to get to enlightenment. And day 1, religions talk about threats of hell. And now he says, well, if you don't do this, you're going to be reincarnated into a life of misery. So heaven, hell became enlightenment, misery. To me, it was like, as they say here, right? Same, but different.
Yeah.
And I was just watching these teachings thinking, it just seemed very hypocritical to me. That it was, I don't know. It was just very, it just seemed like it was up its own ass, I guess. And I wanted to leave. Part of me wanted to leave, but then I decided to stay anyway.
Okay.
And because I still felt like I was growing in my own way. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and eventually I think the biggest learning for me was what I don't want to be. And I was like, okay, maybe I think I've got some stuff figured out, whatever. But I can't go around parading like I know something that other people don't know. I have to temper my own ego. I don't want to be like the teachers in this course and act like, hey, I know the ultimate truth. You have to do things my way if you want to be happy, or else you're going to be miserable. I know the way.
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And I know that. I know I can be like that sometimes too. Like particularly when I was leaving my job to come backpacking. It was like, there's the big part of me that was the egotistical part saying, well, I figured it all out. You guys are so dumb, bubbly. And I kind of realized like, no, everyone's following their own path.
That's good.
And it's not for me to say what anyone's path is. I know what my path is, and I know for me this experience has been awesome and rewarding. But it's not for me to say to anybody else what their path should be. So I guess to sum it up, the biggest learning I got from Vipassana was I learned a tremendous amount, but for the opposite reasons of why they wanted me to.
Yeah, but maybe they were also provoking you. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe, actually, right?
Yeah. They say, like in the spiritual world, that a teacher is somehow always also somebody who brings you really to your issues, who brings you to your... to the issues
That's
you are
true.
actually dealing with. So even you might not realize it, he brought you maybe to a very special thing. And another person might not have an issue with this. What he said, he might have had another problem there. And
well, that's also what I figured out eventually. Like on day 10, we were on the talk again, and I realized, wait, I'm not the only one struggling. And some people had similar beef as I did. Yes. Some people had completely different problems, physical problems, whatever. And it was like, oh, everyone's struggling in his own way in this whole little process we were doing. It was really interesting.
But why didn't you ask him, the teacher?
Well, you're not allowed to.
But you could talk to the teacher, right?
Yes, but you're allowed to question them on the method, but not on philosophy. And that was what pissed me off too, because I'm thinking like, wait a minute, if you want to teach me a meditation method, then teach me a meditation method, and I'll question you on the method. But if you don't want me to question you on philosophy, then don't teach me philosophy.
It's strange.
And it felt a lot. It was almost like you were in. I don't know. It was just very bizarre. Okay. Eventually, I started breaking the rules. I was so frustrated, and I couldn't. I started writing, which I was supposed to do, and eventually reading. Even it was weird. It's like, oh, you had to hide your books, because the Dhamma police were going to come and get you if they caught you.
Sure.
It was interesting. Sorry, I don't want to discourage you from doing it, though.
No, I'll do it anyway. I go to another school and I'll see.
You probably
maybe that's not my big issue. Maybe I have another thing to struggle with.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm most afraid that I'm not allowed to eat after 12 o'clock. How was it for you?
We were allowed to eat. We had like bananas and cereal in the evening, but the second time students were not allowed.
Okay.
To eat. Actually, you just reminded me of something else I thought about of the experience of. You were saying how everyone kind of struggles in different ways and all this. And what was funny to me afterwards, when I was talking to people again, they were. It seemed like some people, they knew what I knew, or they thought the same thing I thought, which was that, hey, this is kind of hypocritical. But for them, they just didn't let them bother them. Yeah, they just were like, whatever. Yeah. This part's bullshit, and they just got over it real quick. And it was just it really was like kind of a boom in my own head. Like, okay, this is all my own bullshit. Like, why am I even fighting with this guy? The guy's dead anyway. The guy in his videos. What am I doing spending my mental energy when I could be like working on myself and all this stuff? I was spending all this time and energy trying to think of reasons why this is bullshit. So that's me. It was something. It was me. For me, maybe it was. I was seeing a shade of myself perhaps in this guy, and I was like, this guy's saying like he knows what's up. Very possible.
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
And there was another interesting thing was I started reading a completely different method. You know Osho?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started reading a book by Osho, and Osho's got his own problems, of course. I think every philosophy has its own good and bad. And his is the opposite, whereas, the Vipassana path is the get rid of your cravings, get rid of your aversions, which I found kind of weird because it's like, so you have to have a craving for no aversion and an aversion to all cravings. It seemed silly. That was another thing I thought was...
No, again, I didn't get it.
Oh, sorry. So so in the Vipassana tradition, in the Buddhist tradition, the idea is that the source of human misery is our cravings and our aversions. So you have to get rid of all cravings, get rid of all aversions.
Okay.
And that seemed kind of like a contradiction to me, because you have a craving to be rid of aversions, and you have an aversion to all cravings. Okay. And there's a big craving for this big thing we call enlightenment. And anyway, Osho's thing is the opposite, which is don't deny your cravings and aversions, embrace them, and accept the fact that with cravings and aversions, you'll have desires that go unfulfilled. And that's part of life too.
Yeah, sure.
But a friend of mine at the course said something wise to me. He goes, well, at their core though, they're really saying the same thing. The Vipassana method, Osho, all these spiritual leaders, they're all kind of saying like, find a way to deal with these things in this crazy thing we call life. Deal with your cravings and aversions, whether you're talking about denying them or accepting them, whatever. It's at a very deep level. It's like the same.
Yeah, find your own way.
Yeah. And I feel like I could talk for 10 days of spending 10 days there, just bottled up in my own thoughts. I could go on and on and on about the experience there. I wrote like 15 pages about the experience, actually.
Yeah, well, it will be difficult not to write, I guess, because so many things are going on in your mind, and it's good sometimes just to get it out. But I'll trust them and just... Yeah. At least that's the plan. Just
you're probably
stay away.
Maybe you're wiser than I am.
I don't know yet.
Well, you might be I was too caught up in the fight.
Okay.
And maybe you're already kind of at a point where like, all right, I know something's bullshit. I'll take the things I learn. What I eventually came to was something I wrote down a long time ago to myself, which was take what you like, reject what you don't, and maintain your individuality while ever learning.
Definitely.
And I should have just thought about that a long time earlier.
Yeah, but you learned a lot, it seems.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
When was it? Was it here in Thailand?
This was in India. This was,
India.
Just a couple months ago. I guess it was end of November, beginning of December.
Okay.
So pretty recently.
Cool.
But yeah, you're right. I still, despite all this, it was a good teacher. That pushed me.
Okay.
And so I learned...
Exactly.
That's
his job, to push you and to bring you to your whatever, like, issues and these things.
And it did that. It absolutely did that. So despite, like, all my bullshit, fighting it, I owe a lot, because I think I'm a lot better than I used to be.
Okay. Cool.
After having gone through this course. So...
Wow.
Yeah.
And that in 10 days.
Yeah, it's a lot to happen in 10 days. So go and actually, I don't think they're all the same either.
No,
not all the organizations have.
Yeah.
I've heard, actually I have to look at my notes, but a friend of mine told me about one place you can do it where it's not so much of they let you question them more.
Okay.
And they're not so much like, this is the only way. It's the same experience of a 10 days Vipassana, but not as much of a, I don't know, holier than thou kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, but I talked to a monk yesterday. They have these monk chats here.
Yeah,
Did you read about it? It's quite funny. So I talked to him.
The guys in orange and everything.
Yeah. And I asked him, what is the difference between Zen Buddhism? Because I'm normally following more like Zen Buddhism, and this here is Theravada. So he said that Theravada just has a lot of rules. They have like...
I don't know, actually...
Theravada is what they follow here. It's like the very traditional Buddhism.
Mm.
They follow in Thailand, like in Japan and these places, more Zen Buddhism. And he said the difference is that they just have a lot of rules. They have, I don't know, like, what did he say? The monks have 127 rules they have to follow in their daily life. And I know Buddhism to be very free, it's just, there's no rules, just sit down and meditate. And so I was also very surprised. Yeah, so I think all meditations you do here will be full of rules. Sounded like...
Well, that's, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's the way I thought about it. That made it so weird to me, because I always had this idea of Buddhism as like this thing it's the internal journey. Yeah. So there's not rules. It's about finding for yourself what the thing is. There's not like a dogma. The whole appeal of Buddhism to me and Vipassana was there is no dogma. There's no rules. It's that internal, you know. And that's why I was so turned off by it, because I was like, wait a minute, that's what I signed up for, but now you're giving me dogma. And I was just like, what? This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, maybe we can see it more like guidelines or something, that it's like guidelines how to reach it, but not maybe rules is too strict.
I agree.
I hope.
It seems against the, I don't know, I never met Buddha, but if Buddha was here today, maybe he's reincarnated and he's hanging out somewhere.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like if you talked to him today and you said, hey, so what are the rules to enlightenment? He wouldn't give you like, oh, here's 120 things you have to do to reach enlightenment. He would say, look, sit under a tree, meditate for a while, figure out your shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he also, followed his way. He was like, I don't know if you know his stories, but he went like through ascetic periods. Then he had like women. Then he was drinking. He also tried all different kinds. And in the end, he just
really,
I
did not know that.
Yeah, that's his story, that he tried a lot of things. So and it's just a path. Yes.
Well, of course. Why am I surprised to hear this, though? Right? Like, he was a man, so it's not like he was born this person.
He was the son of a king.
Yeah, he was a prince. And,
exactly.
He probably went through every single experience. He probably did really terrible things too. Yeah. Like, if you think about what would drive someone to just leave their wife and their kid and go sit under a tree till you reach enlightenment. If you think about that, like he probably did some terrible things, and then he figured out how to get past that.
Yeah, exactly.
Grow.
Yeah, that it's not the right way. Somehow he found out, and then he found his way.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about enlightenment? I'd be curious to get your perspective on it.
I think it's like, I don't know if I'm right, but right now I think it's nothing so big. It's just a thing you can reach when you practice meditation. You can reach this point where you see that everything is one somehow. I don't know if you ever reached it, but I did, and I think it's changing like my whole, like I had periods in retreats where just my whole worldview was turned upside down, and I was just like, oh, wow, this is just such a new perspective on everything, and I felt so liberated.
Yeah.
It didn't last, then you start again going back to your normal life, and you fall back. So I think it's more something you have like for a moment or for some moments, and something everybody can reach. It's nothing so crazily, amazingly big. And I don't believe in nirvana, that you reach this and then you won't be reborn and all these things. I don't care so much about what happens after death or not. But for me, enlightenment is right now. Maybe ask me in 1 year again and it's something else. It's just seeing the world in a different way, so that you feel free, that you suddenly feel liberated from your ego, from all those things which are normally bothering us. Yeah. Yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, that's good. I think I pretty much agree with all those things. Like, I've had those experiences sometimes where you in the course, for example, it's that everything I think about, the way I view the world, has just been turned on its head, and now I'm like, everything is completely different for me since Vipassana, for sure.
Cool.
But I think what you're saying is also true. It's like, it's not a permanent thing, I don't think, right? It's not like, oh, you reach this and like, oh, you're done.
Exactly.
And, like, all right, now I've done it. I've reached nirvana. It's over. I think you put it in a really good way. Because I always thought it was, to think that you are enlightened, that game over, I've reached nirvana, it's done. Isn't that completely crazy and to say to yourself, I have nothing more to learn?
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
I don't think it's like, does anybody exist who says that? I don't know.
I don't know. That's the impression, that's how I felt when I was in the course, you know?
Okay.
I felt like, it's one of two things. This guy was either teaching enlightenment, and he wasn't enlightened. And in which case, what is he going about teaching people enlightenment? Or he does actually believe he's enlightened, in which case, wait a minute, I'm listening to a guy who is so egotistical that he believes he has nothing more to grow and learn in his life. You know, I'm like, either way, it's like, you know, it seemed backwards either way. That was another thing that bothered me, though, just the whole idea of enlightenment. I don't think it, like, I think you can always grow. You can always learn. So you can't say, oh yeah, I'm done. Now I won't have to be reincarnated now to live another life because I figured it out finally. Like,
yeah. And what I also heard from monks, it's they told me the same thing. I don't know if you know Thich Nhat Hanh?
No.
Oh.
All I know about Buddhism is basically things I learned in this course.
Okay, I have to.
So you know a lot more than I do, later, I think. Yeah.
And they told me like that, what I just told you, that it's just a constant practice, you know. Sometimes you have these moments, sometimes you lose it again, and
yeah,
it's...
So, man, it's funny, because I was so turned off. I was really into Buddhism I didn't know a lot about it, but conceptually it seemed interesting to me because of that it's not a religion. You know, it seemed all those things were what I thought it was. And then came to this course, and I found out, it's something else. Yeah. But maybe listening to you now, it makes me... Well, there's different sects of Buddhism, it sounds like, right? Yeah. So maybe this particular sect wasn't the one for me.
Yeah.
But maybe there are some aspects of Buddhism, some sects of Buddhism, whatever you want to call it, that's more in line with how I look at the world, which is the individual journey thing.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's the kind.
I'll write you some names down there.
Yeah. It sounds like you subscribe to the same kind of Buddhism that I would.
Yeah, so. Maybe. But maybe we are getting too deep now for the people listening to us.
No.
Is it getting boring?
Yeah, no, I think this is, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? I mean, talking about enlightenment, achieving the highest possible plane of existence. What's more interesting than that?
That's true.
No, actually, some people did want... I talked about going into the Vipassana course. You know, talked about going into it very briefly, and I never revisited it on the podcast. And some people did ask me, like, hey, what about the Vipassana experience? So it was probably about time to talk about it.
Definitely.
I mean, honestly, of all the different things happening while backpacking, this is probably one of the more intriguing ones. So, so it's all
cool. Yeah, now it's out.
Yeah.
Now it's out in the world.
But now it seems like I have way more to learn. Well, I guess that was the conclusion anyway, right? Was that there's always higher mountains to climb.
Definitely. Yeah, but it's a shame that whatever this guy just turned you off so much.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame, but ultimately I still grew from the experience and still learned. Yeah. So I can't have no complaints about it. You know, it helped me. And it was really just my own bullshit that was making me have a bad experience, because I could have just brushed it off and said, okay, I won't listen to that part. But I was still stuck in my own head so much that I couldn't just get over that more easily. So, you know.
Yeah, and maybe like Western people just need a Buddhism which is more, you know, doesn't have these rules, doesn't has like a lot of spiritual, whatever, I don't know the English word, like, you know, rituals and all these things.
Yeah, rites and rituals, like, dogma.
Clear and logical and, not logical, and rational and all these things. Yeah. So that's actually what Thich Nhat Hanh, like my guru, is teaching. He's from Vietnam, and he adapted Buddhism to the Western mind, because he said you can't just, you know, go to the West and teach like we teach in Vietnam, because we are so different. And and he has just an amazing way of teaching and of bringing it to people. It's really, really strong.
And his is the version that's without the dogma and rules. It's more
very much without dogma. Very
much.
No dogma at all.
There's a version of Buddhism out there still for me.
No dogma at all. Just his only rule is just be mindful. You know, try to be in the moment, in the present moment, and that's the only thing he's basically saying, then he's telling stories about whatever, like what I just said about feeling one with everything, and he can just tell it in a so beautiful and so logical way. Logical is the wrong word. Rational way.
Yeah.
That you follow it. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's also right. Also right. Also right. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, my world looks different now, and everything just makes sense.
I've had moments of feeling that way in the meditation. You know, it's like it's those moments where I realize all the people that it comes out when you think about negative emotions, right? And I think about all these people that I've had negative conflicts with, and it's really, really easy. I think evil is just a convenient label that people use for things they don't understand. Yeah. And in reality, there isn't this other person I hate or whatever. They aren't evil. In that person's mind, he's doing the right thing. And it's just, so in that sense, we are all the same. You know, the person I hate is the same as me. He's just seeing life from his perspective, and I'm seeing it from mine. And in his eyes, I'm the evil person. Yeah. So in that sense, I had these moments of, whatever you call them, moments of revelation, blah, 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 whatever, where it's like, oh, I get it. It's that, like, oh.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're like, wow.
Yeah, I'm not the center of the world after all. Oh, shit. Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
That sounds like I might have to get some information from you.
Yes,
from
please.
This one. Yeah. Do you have any more knowledge you can impart?
I have to think. No, I just, I couldn't say it in the right way so that people get it. Whatever I would like to say. Yeah.
Sure. Well, let's see. I guess we got a pretty good recording here. I'll ask you another question that we've been asking our guests.
Yes.
What is one thing that you would like to do before you die? And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be like the thing, but what's any one thing you want to do?
I don't know.
Okay. Think about it for a moment while I'll go through the motions of thanking you.
Okay.
No, but I think this was a pretty good little session. I appreciate you spontaneously coming on and doing this silly little thing, and listening to me talk about Vipassana. Yeah, I think we got a good little episode here.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and I know now what I want to do. I really would like to live in a Buddhist monastery for I don't know, 1 year at least, or like a longer period.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So that's definitely something I want to do. But there's so many things I want to do before I die.
Well, it doesn't have to be like the thing, but just any one thing.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah.
Now, I guess, would you do that, and do you see yourself as then staying in a kind of monk life, or coming back to the world? Coming back to the world, I guess. Yeah. Maybe when I'm 50 or something, I can go to monk life, but right now I'm too young. Yeah. No, I mean, that's good. I know this was supposed to be the wrap up, but it's like you made me think some more. Like, the whole monk life thing. One thing that struck me about it was like, so people become monks following this Buddhism thing. They want to rid themselves of misery. I don't know. It was always odd to me where it's like, it seems like you're so possessed by misery that you throw away all the joy in your life. I think it's good to go have those experiences of deep meditation, retreating and all that, and live that simple life for a while. But I think you have to come back to planet Earth, though. You can learn all these things, get enlightened, have those moments of whatever, and we have to come back and use that knowledge for good. So I guess I'm obviously not going to be a monk, but but yeah. But that's also what they do here. What I heard yesterday from this monk, that he's 29 now, and he's studying at university. And most of those monks we see here, they are studying or doing schools or something. And then they find a family one day and they leave the monastery. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And he said, there are a lot of monks that do this.
Yeah, like some stay, but most just find their way back to normal life one
this
day.
is like mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
Because I always thought of it as like, okay, you become a monk, you give up everything.
It's not in Buddhism, you can just leave whenever you want. Or when you fall in love or something, because they're not allowed to have sex. So when you fall in love, you can just say, okay, bye, we are leaving now or something.
Just fail.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I had this, between the Vipassana course and other things I've heard, I always this idea of if you're following that Buddhist spiritual path, you have to give up everything. Give up all your cravings, all aversions, all possessions. No love, no sex, none of that. Just live your life very simple, with your basic needs, and just meditate all day long for the rest of your life. And that's your life now. And I was like, what? That sounds terrible. I don't want to be enlightened. Yeah. I don't want to chase that thing. But you give me hope now. So
you can become a monk still.
Yeah, maybe I can become a monk temporarily, and then
sure.
if you're allowed to come back to planet Earth,
you can do it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
just
really
have
cool.
to shave your hair.
I can shave my hair. I've done it before.
No problem for you.
No big deal. I think it's a good look for me. It's a lot easier too. But I want long hair now. I've never had long hair.
Okay, afterwards you become a monk.
Yeah, I'll get long hair for a while, and then when I'm tired of, when my hair is just, all right, I'm ready to shave it, I'll know that's the time to become a monk.
Yeah. That's a good deal.
Temporarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try maybe a different course or something.
Good.
Cool. Well, any final thoughts?
No.
Cool.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, this was great. And thank you for the contribution of the idea of drinking a beer during the podcast.
I'm German,
Yeah, I think this tells me I should have more Germans on the show. So cheers to that.
Cheers.
Prost, as they say. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Walking the Earth podcast. I'm Mike Margulies, and I'll catch you next time.